it's good now.
Yeah, hopefully. Hi everyone, welcome back to second episode of Techno Talks with Lalit. We have Sergej with us today. Hello Sergej.
Hi,
Sergej looks after mobile testing unit as a QA team lead in XING and has been associated with mobile testing this long. Uh, Welcome to Techno Talks with Lalit episode. Sergej, how have you been doing?
Thank you for the invitation, of course. I'm fine. Friday,
Yeah.
I had a great week, so very nice.
Cool. So I would directly jump on to the main things. You have been working with mobile testing probably over 10 years now. How did it all started? Could you share your testing journey with us?
Not as long, it's something around, I think, 6 or 7 years, but still it's for the mobile technology pretty long. It started actually here at XING. I worked previously in one of the Rails teams, and then on some point I decided to do something else and had a look around and discovered for me the topic of the mobile testing, and it was they had a preposition this time.
Oh, okay.
And I started with Android at the very beginning, and then after some time I switched to the iOS. So
Cool. So you have experience with mobile testing in mobile Android as well as iOS.
yes.
What do you find more challenging? What are the good things in either of them?
I wouldn't say more challenging. They are both just different.
Okay.
Every technology has its own kind of, how should I say, challenges or difficulties. In the Android area, you have to fight with high fragmentation degree, so it's a lot of devices that you have to cover, a lot of different OS versions and so on and so on. In the iOS, for example, the daily thing with which you have to fight is the topic with certification, profiles, and all this stuff. The restrictions to deploy the applications, the devices, and so on, this kind of stuff.
Cool. Glad that you raised this topic of device fragmentation. What do you think is the best strategy when it comes to deciding upon whether organizations should go with real devices or they should go with emulators and simulator thing?
I think you have to use both, not technologies, but both approaches, but you have to carefully choose on which area you have to use one and in which area another one. We are using at XING mostly real devices for manual testing, or actually only real devices for manual testing, and for the automation we are using sometimes simulators or emulators in the Android area, or real devices. So for manual testing, for sure, you have to use the real device. You have to feel how the application behaves. You have to have it in your hand. You have to see all the interactions. And for the automation, for the daily runs, maybe you can use also simulators or emulators. But at least once for the release, you have to let the automation run also on the real devices.
Cool. Because of this touch and feel thing, I remembered an interesting article I was reading about an automated bot which is replacing humans, human testing or manual testing, which tries to simulate user touch and actions. What do you think about such approach towards mobile testing?
I mean, this kind of technologies you can use when you already defined flow. You can use it for the checking or verification and not for actual testing, because testing is almost always a discovering approach, discovering phase. So you're noticing some side effects on which you are not actually concentrated in this actual current test run.
Indeed.
But still you see these things and you feel it, and the machine, the automate, doesn't have the feeling of how does it feel, how nice the interaction look like, this kind of things that are really important for the end customer.
Yeah, I mean, you mean to say, apart from many other things, the feel and the experience that user can get with the devices,
For sure.
it cannot be really automated and
No.
measured with simulated devices. Excellent. Coming back to your release management experience in mobiles, how different and difficult they are as compared to typical software testing projects, which are done based mostly on web applications and.
The difference is maybe that in comparison to other development strategies like on web and so on, the, technologies, you have completely different approach. It's kind of, in the web you can, for example, deploy and the customer maybe wouldn't even notice that you deployed something. On mobile, mostly, if you are not using, for example, hybrid technologies,
Absolutely.
you have to deliver software to the customer. So what does it mean? It means that customer had to do something consciously all the time, except if somebody is doing it automatically in the background, but there are still enough users who want to do it manually and to accept the updates. So it means it's kind of every time when you're delivering software, if you're would try to find analogy, you have to burn a CD-ROM and to handle it out to the customer. And the customer has to take it, put it inside and start to use it. So you don't have any control on did the user did it, for example, which version of your software is the user using. So you have no control of it.
Absolutely.
So you have to take care about several versions flying around and taking in consideration what happens if you switch some features on in one version but want to switch them off in another version. So there is another level of complexity.
Cool. Specific to mobile testing, what are those skills you would value in top 3 desired skills for a good mobile tester?
Of course, you have to be aware of all the technological things that mobile platform is offering to you. So you have to know that the device is kind of reacting if you are turning it on. So all these small little things. You have to be really informed about the latest technologies, which devices are out, which functions do they support, which they don't support. Curiosity, of course. What happens if I'm trying to, to spread the screen with several fingers, multi-touch, or to tap it quickly several times, after each other. And another thing, what I would say, and of course you have to think about all the mobile cases. So what is actually mobile? So user is taking the device and using it in the subway, using it in bad covered areas, where you have really bad network. Exactly. These kind of things.
Yeah. So basically, they need to be skilled tester in terms of thinking abilities. On technology side, what skills would you recommend for an individual who wants to make a career in mobile testing?
On technology side, on technology side, of course, you have to be actually a good tester. For me, has also almost enough skills to program application, but he decides consciously to go into another direction, to the QA area, for example. So you can use all the tools, you can read the code and so on, and combine it with your QA skills. And of course, you have to think about the difference between devices. So one device has 1 gigabyte RAM, another one 4 gigabyte RAM. Some devices are completely full with pictures, and what happens if memory is out, and so on. This kind of little things.
Cool. So it's more or less one needs to know everything.
Yes, actually yes. Actually yes.
Well, it more or less everything is now being taken over by mobile devices. What do you think about mobile first approach?
Actually, it doesn't have to be mobile first. But in case you are developing something now, you have from the beginning on to think about mobile, because mobile, I think now we see the trends that the traffic in the mobile on the mobile platforms kind of rising up and on the web going down. So you have to be kind of prepared that your application is used only on mobile. We have already at XING mobile only users. It means the users didn't see the application on web. So if something is not on mobile, it's not at the end user.
Right.
So these things you should be aware. You can still try to implement something in web first if you want to try something out, something general. I don't know how the behavior is, how the flows are, but still in parallel, or you have to have good reasons to not to do it on mobile at the same time or first.
Cool. Since you are also in mobile test automation, what are your favorite tools that you use for mobile test automation?
Yep. I mean, the first thing is, of course, terminal. I'm using it all the time. Charles as a proxy tool. For the automation on iOS, we're using Calabash.
Oh, cool.
I really like it tool now. We used previously KIF, but now it's not kind of developed anymore, so we have to change, and we decided to use Calabash. And on the Android side, we are changing now also to Calabash, but previously we used Espresso for Android, so it was also nice. We are trying to combine the tools.
Ah, okay. Interesting. And I believe in between you guys had worked on this test harness project for Hack Week. Would you like to give us some idea about it? What exactly was it and how did it help?
You mean this or test infrastructure with the devices? Or what?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Actually, we had a lot of requests from the domain teams because now we are not located at the same location. So mobile developers are spread through the world, kind of. Some of them are in Barcelona, some of them are in Munich. And we needed to offer them a possibility to not to buy all the time for every location a device, but to use a real device, but remote.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, exactly. And one of our colleagues, Daniel, saw this project and he wanted to try it out. We did a setup in 1 week and it worked pretty well, and we are using it now for several locations. We have good feedback. Unfortunately, it's only for Android by now, but still very nice.
Nice. And are there any plans to extend such ideas to iOS as well?
Yeah, we have to find the proper tooling for it. Yeah, it doesn't support iOS, otherwise we would do it already. But yeah, we have to see what would we choose. For Android, we are using it also for the test automation. It's possible to run the test automation directly on the devices, to do some certain actions directly on the device, not being there, do a photo, install some apps, additional apps, and so on and so on. Yeah.
Cool. So you have worked on throughout these years on different roles and also technologies and streams. If I am to ask you to tell one important lesson you have learned in your testing career so far, what would it be?
Important lesson. I think it's really, really important in the mobile technology to stay up to date, because the technology is so rapidly changing. So you have to know what is planned, because if you will not follow the latest trends, for example, I don't know, with iOS rumors or with new Android version rumors, and you will not know that they will introduce, I don't know, the new permissions model. At the time when the software is out, it's already too late to think about it, because the customers should already get the new version of your app using this approach. And the same with all the things, the same with hardware and the support of the new hardware components like, I don't know, touch ID or stay up to date. I think it's most important.
Most important.
Yeah.
Excellent. I believe you presented at some conference recently. Would you like to share some experience about your talk and how did it go?
Um, excuse me. I spoke for about several topics. One of them was about the test automation. Our approach, how we're doing test automation. I think it's in every company different. You have to really decide for yourself which parts you want to automate, which parts you don't want to automate, how often do you want to run the test. But I think one of the latest talks and maybe most interesting talks was about the mobile release trains. So how we organize our frequent release trains. We have them every 2 weeks with several locations, several teams who are participating in the development of this app. So how we are putting everything together and how the process is organized, how we are organizing the quality assurance for these topics, integration testing, release testing, and so on. So it was, I got really nice feedback about it, and I think we as a company are pretty far ahead of a lot of companies in this topic. Yeah.
Cool. Let's know that. My last question for today: what would be your advice for young testers who want to take up career in mobile testing? What things they should be reading? How they can practice their testing skills?
I wouldn't put too much effort in the education upfront. Some basic stuff you of course can read, and there's a lot of common stuff for the QA in web and in mobile, but the main thing is just to start and learn doing, because like I said, the technology is so rapidly changing, so that the knowledge that you would gain maybe 2 years ago will not have any meaning today. So just start with it, learn it, be curious, learn the things, try the things out. Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Thanks again. It was nice talking with you, and we will keep discussing testing more.
Thank you, Lalit.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, guys.